Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our Nancy Drew Games review series, where we are ranking every single Nancy Drew game on 6 key aspects, being the story and premise of each game, the suspects, the puzzles, the music, the atmosphere, and the ending. I'm your host, Jameson.
And I'm Julian. What's going on, everybody?
And today we are joined by Nancy Drew Walkthroughs, Hugh Miller. He is a very supportive channel who we actually ended up taking one of his videos for our soundtrack in our first review. And he was kind enough to reach out to us and just, give us a pointer that we accidentally credited the wrong channel because we're geniuses. But say hello, Hugh.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And today we are reviewing the long-awaited, that I didn't know how to install for too long, Nancy Drew Stay Tuned for Danger.
So what, this game came out in 99, right? It's got about 21 years.
Yeah.
21 years on it, and I think it's really important to remember during this review that Her Interactive was still in their testing phases. They were still finding their voice and what they wanted these games to be. So,
and
I mean,
also
we can
finding the voice for Ned.
Yeah.
Like we see here, there's some weird things. 6, 7 suspects, 6 people you can talk to at least. There's a couple things that make it different from modern Nancy Drew games. Graphics aside, of course.
It's also fun to note that Hugh and us, we have very different views. This is the last Nancy Drew, unless you count the original Secrets Can Kill or the Dossier games, that Julian and I have ever played, because we were never able to play this until last week when we got it to work. Meanwhile, Hugh, this was Hugh's first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, way back in 2005. So I was about 4 years old, and I was at a friend's house, and she was playing this new, or not really new, but it was new to me, this game. And I was like, what is that? Turned out to be Nancy Drew, Stay Tuned for Danger, and I was hooked from that moment on.
Yeah, they got him early. So.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think we started playing when we were 9, 10 or so.
Right. And
Right, okay.
Hugh runs a channel where, we already mentioned it, Nancy Drew Walkthroughs. We'll have a link in the description, because his viewers totally aren't also our viewers. But on that note, he recently finished a playthrough of Stay Tuned for Danger with Robert Riddell, who I believe was executive producer or lead writer?
Yeah, so this is the first game that he worked on from concept to shipping, I guess, for the whole development process. He was the writer and the head of product management or development or something.
A living
legend.
legend.
I can't remember what it was.
All the same, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, it was such a dream to be going through this game with him. It was awesome.
I saw the walkthrough. It was really cool, and I hope everybody listening goes and checks it out, because having that insight from an actual creator, it's just it's so cool.
Yeah, just a window to the early CD-ROM games.
It was just a dream come true. I honestly, there's no other way for me to describe how awesome it was. It was so cool.
Well, I suppose we've had enough chit-chat going on already, despite the 20 minutes we spent before starting to record. So, let's go ahead and get into the story and premise of this game. Who wants to give it the good once-over of it?
I mean, it all starts with Aunt Eloise, right? Aunt Eloise, related to Nancy, she has a friend, Maddie Jensen.
Or was it Hannah?
No, it's not Hannah, it's Aunt Eloise.
Really?
It is Aunt Eloise.
Oh, wow.
I found it interesting that, I don't know, maybe they intended for Aunt Eloise to come back in other games. She wasn't really relevant later on in the series. But either way, it all starts with Nancy's Aunt Eloise, her friend Maddie Jensen, invites Nancy down to New York, right by the Big Apple, where she works on a television set with famous star Rick Arlen.
Yeah, it's a soap opera, so, it's not real TV, but...
Yeah, but Rick's been receiving a series of really weird death threats. He's gotten a broken watch in the mail, poisoned chocolates, the list goes on, and Maddie is starting to fear for Rick's life. Meanwhile, Rick, on the other hand, he's very, nonchalant about it. It's kind of weird, but the premise begins with Nancy being called in to investigate these series of threats that's been targeting Rick Arlen.
Once you meet Maddie gets you a visitor's press pass or something of the sort, so you can go on the studio and watch them shoot. You get to go to her dressing room, you get to meet the big surly security guard Ralph and all sorts of things like that. And as soon as you get on set to watch this absolutely just stunning.
I love the cutscenes so much.
We'll go ahead and play the cutscene right here.
Yeah, it's worth throwing in.
Words can't do it justice.
Have we blocked this already?
Yes, I think.
Quiet on the set.
Is the floor ready?
Check.
Audio. Check.
Roll tape.
Stand by, camera 1.
Stand by music.
Take camera 1.
Rory, I have to talk to you.
I don't want to see you, Serena.
No, Rory, don't go. I love you.
I don't want to see you, Serena.
No, Rory, don't go.
I love you.
So anyhow, as soon as this happens, the death threats really get credence. The press goes absolutely crazy with the story, and Nancy Drew is on the case and starts questioning everybody from Rick Garland himself to the kooky old prop master to the very, 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 very suspicious talent agent, Dwayne Powers. So on that note, I think that about covers up the premise of the game, and I think we can jump into suspects.
Maddie's apartment has really scary pictures in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, aren't those lovely?
Yeah. So, the original Secrets Can Kill, the first game, used 2D animation cartoon characters.
We should have mentioned that this was like the first time this graphics had this engine and everything.
Well, I mean, it's the same engine. It was just the characters always.
It's a completely different art style.
Now this one's interesting because this is it is the same engine. They use the same engine, I think, from Secrets Can Kill or Vampire Diaries all the way to I want to say The Creature of Kabu Cave, but I don't quote me on that.
Gotcha.
Well, they certainly changed
but
the interface around Game 10, I think.
Well, exactly, yeah. But yeah, they since they made enough money off of the first Nancy Drew game, they went to a company, an outsourced company, to make all the character animations because they could now afford it, and they just went off from there. I think they used this company. I want to say up until
definitely Midnight in Salem's.
I actually think Curse of Blackmore Manor, because then they went to a different company, and then starting with I think White Wolf or Phantom of Venice, they started animating characters in-house.
You know, I actually realized that there was like a stark like contrast in White Wolf's characters from Kabu Cave, so I think that's definitely where the transition happened.
White Wolf was probably the first game where characters looked almost lifelike, I'd say.
So
yeah, well, and that was interesting because that was for the earlier games they animated everything so that just the mouths moved, or just the head would move, or just the arms. Whereas in the later games, there would be full body movement across the board for each character, which that showed that they had more money and that they were doing it in house. Because to get that kind of movement outsourced, that costs a lot more money than just doing individual or creating a system to code individual body part movements.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, how not just their like necks and like their arms would wobble around, but it was like more of a full body kind of thing. That's cool.
Yeah.
Circling back into the suspect part of the review, Hugh, I'm curious, do you have any like favorite suspect in this game you want to cover?
Oh, favorite suspect. I think Lillian. I think Lillian's my favorite one.
All right.
She is she's a very like hard character, and she's very mean, but her backstory to me is so deep, not just in her own personal life, but her life with the other actors and characters in the game. And it's seen throughout the game. There's multiple pictures of Lillian with Dwayne or with Maddie or Rick, or all of them together. And obviously her and Rick had their history together. So it was, I think that, and with all the things you can find in her office, I think she's probably the strongest suspect in the game, personally.
If I had to choose a favorite, I would say Dwayne, because looking into his private study area, there was a lot of things to be uncovered there. And one of the things that I thought was really cool in this game was that it was something I think a lot of people gloss over, but over in his bookshelf, there's the love language. It was like French words.
Ma chérie.
I'm trying to think what the title was called, but it was like a
Lemon's like a dictionary on like how to say I love you, and
it was like love language in French or something. And then Nancy never remarks about any of it, but that's exactly what you find in Maddie Jensen's her room. Is there's a bunch of love letters in French, and it always starts with ma chérie, which is my sweetheart in French. And in Dwayne's book, he has that circled and everything, and that was really cool storytelling. That Dwayne's motivations, it just wasn't about Rick too. It was also about getting back at Maddie, because they definitely had that previous love life, and that just made him a lot more of an interesting character in my opinion.
So I really wanted to cover Lillian, but I'll give it to you. I surrender Lillian. I like how she's a main character. The franchise always needs more mean characters, because whether or not they're guilty, they always just create some kind of drama in the game. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so with my first two picks gone, I think that my third favorite suspect in this game, I gotta go with Rick, because he's like, Rick is such an idiot, but like the good kind. I definitely think one of my favorite parts of the game was exploring his dressing room and reading all the hilarious notes from his stalker.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
What's the line? Who eats?
Yeah, you absolute fool. I saw you the other day at this restaurant. You ordered red wine with your halibut. What kind of a fool does that?
That was so good.
Your life is a sick joke, which I hope to deliver the punchline to, right into your face. If it's not terribly clear by now, we'll go ahead and get into mild. I mean, you know, as many spoilers as we can for this game. Dwayne Powers is the culprit of this game.
But he's also Rick Arlen's agent, which makes for an interesting
Or
ex-agent.
yeah.
My bad, ex-agent. Which kind of makes for an interesting dichotomy, and something that I wish wasn't the case, but in all the earlier games, I just think it's fairly too obvious who the culprit is. It's just a minor critique, but like, I think Dwayne kind of oversold how much he hated Rick in this game.
What are you talking about? Owen Spaders did it.
Oh, my bad, Owen Spader. Yeah, you're right.
We might just want to go ahead and cover Owen Spader now then. Well, I mean, Rick.
We're kind of like jumping all over the place.
We are. This is an unorthodox suspect review. I'm gonna go ahead and just cover a little bit more on Rick. Rick is just like a real good boy television soap opera actor.
He's very charming. Brady Armstrong before Brady Armstrong.
Yeah, that is a good point. He's like a weathered Brady Armstrong.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
People say like, oh, nothing. He thinks nothing's ever gonna hurt him. There's obviously a lot of resentment towards him because he's got the perfect looks and he's just a real lucky guy.
He's got the Ken hair. Oh yeah.
And he's looking to pursue a career in film. He wants to leave behind small-time silver screen TV to actually start starring in movies. And his contract agent, Bill Pappas. Nobody breaks a contract with Bill Pappas. I'll kill him before he walks out on me.
I'll kill him before he walks out.
Yeah. So Bill Pappas is not very happy about that. We count him as a suspect actually, because you can accuse him at the end of the game. But otherwise, with Rick, he definitely has a lot of targets on his back from a lot of different people. But only one is the maniac who wants to, kill him.
But what's interesting about Rick is that he's so carefree about all of it. It almost makes him suspicious, as if he knows personally there's nothing to worry about.
This guy is more, interested in flirting with Nancy than he is about, the poisonous castor oil chocolates in his room.
He's got such a big ego.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of his lines verbatim, but my favorite one was when he's being interviewed, and he's like, I almost feel like I'm being watched.
Weekdays from 2 to 3 on Channel 13.
So good.
Oh my god, he has some great lines.
Our dad was playing with
yeah.
us when that happened, and he just lost.
Oh, yeah, Rick's quite the character. Wish he'd come back somehow.
So, Owen Spader, we briefly mentioned him. Owen Spader is Dwayne Powers by a very, very poor pseudonym. Where
Anagram.
he just rearranged the letters in his name to become Owen Spader.
Just like Tom Riddle.
Yeah. It's just classic Tom Marvolo riddle. But
Oh yeah.
who Owen Spader is? He is a stagehand on the set of Light of Our Lives, or at least I think that's what it's called.
Light of Our Love.
Light of Our Love. Okay, yeah, it's Days of Our
Yeah.
Lives. It's the real one.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he's a stagehand on that, who no one claims to have met face to face. Millie Strathorn claims, he just keeps on losing props and stuff. And you can see that from the prop room, like a pair of glasses and a fake mustaches and beard has gone missing. And whenever you see this guy on the security camera, he isn't just wearing a mustache and beard and everything, but he is also walking in the most Dora the Explorer, swiper no swiping, absolutely suspicious way possible.
The best sneaking around posture I've ever seen in my life.
So, it becomes very clear that this guy is, guilty. I'm glad that they didn't pull the classic Mitch Dillon and make it so that the actual culprit was Owen Spader, the guy you never meet, but instead he actually is Dwayne Powers going by a fake name. Otherwise...
We still gotta touch on Maddie Jensen. Hugh, would you like to cover her?
you're right. We glossed right over her.
Maddie Jensen. Oh, where do I start with her? She is the lead actress in Light of Our Love, and she has had, I think, just one relationship with Rick Arlen. I don't know if that was on and on or if that was just a one-time go. But nonetheless, it was not just an on-screen relationship; it was off-screen as well. And so, because of that, there's little clues hidden around the game, like when the bomb is going off in Rick Arlen's dressing room, and written on his mirror in red lipstick is Play Me. That red lipstick is found in Maddie Jensen's dressing room. So
That's a really
could have
great
been her,
point.
you know?
Yeah.
Just little things like that. But those, there's not as many clues pointing to Maddie being the culprit in the game, right? And she is she's a very nice character, a very chill character, but at the same time, she's pretty flat. There's not much to her, which kind of makes her a character that I like to try and avoid when I'm playing the game.
Agreed.
She's kind of
even
like
though I can't.
She's kind of like a alpha prototype of Katie Firestone, where, you know, she's the one who brings you into the game, but instead of like becoming more and more suspicious as the game goes on, she's just kind of there as like a confidant or like a reason that you're on the set in the first place.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know if there's really much else to say about her. She is just generally a pretty flat character who doesn't offer a whole lot to the game.
So otherwise, I think we ought to just touch on really briefly, because I don't even think you can accuse him at the end of the game. Ralph, the security guard, he's just this...
Ralph Guardino!
Yeah, my guy. And basically, Ralph has you sign in every time you come to visit the set.
Well, we're still forgetting Millie Strathorn.
Oh my god, you're right. Okay, so...
It just goes on and on, folks.
We'll cover her next. Man, this game has, like, if you want to be technical, as many culprits, or as many suspects as any other game. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I found it interesting that they actually rendered a model for Ralph. I mean, I guess it's relevant in the true endgame, but like...
And also, they needed someone to catch you when you break in at night.
I just felt it would have made more sense to have Bill Pappas a fully rendered character as opposed to Ralph.
It's not like they gave Ralph much dialogue, so...
Well, I know. I just... Interesting choice of resources.
Yeah, I guess.
I know, that is something that Robert didn't cover in our playthrough. He never really explained. I don't even know if he knew or remembered why that was the decision. Because he also said they worked by committee while making these early games, and there wasn't really a project lead. So that might have just been something that, as a team, they decided would suit the game best. But again, I don't know the thought process and why that happened.
All right.
I'm curious why they didn't make Bill Pappas a character. If they were just trying to make him like more, like this suspicious, ominous dude. I don't know.
Well, I think the main reason is because they just didn't have the funds to
That's
to pay the animation farm.
So it's actually really cool to me. So Bill Pappas, he's the lead producer of the show. He's the guy who gives that classic line, "Nobody breaks a contract with Bill Pappas. I'll kill him before he walks out on me."
Which I think it just happens like you're walking forward and then your screen locks on the door, right? And
It doesn't lock on it. Just like if the first time you approach his door, you hear him say that. And I always thought, like, going up this game, I knew that iconic line from like Let's Plays, and I always just thought it was so funny and cheesy. You know, he talks like he's the Godfather, but after the bomb sequence in Rick's dressing room, you actually get a phone call from him where you can ask him about like 10 different things.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So,
I had no clue it was a thing.
Yeah, and sure enough, at the end of the game, you can accuse him of being the culprit, so that was cool. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Bill Pappas, even though you don't meet him, I'd say he totally counts as a valid suspect. And that just leaves us with Millie Strathorn. You're smoking something if you think she's behind this.
I'm ashamed to say I didn't know Millie Strathorn was Lonnie Manella.
Really?
I think anyone could have been Millie Strathorn. She's like a classic, just Nickelodeon grandma voice. So
yeah, so she's kind of like the prop master, but there's also more to her story, right? She's
the
what's it called, WWB?
Yeah, she inherited the broadcasting network, I think. So she's technically the owner, not necessarily the founder. Her login information is Millie WWB 1958. Do with that what you will. That's my big takeaway. You talk with her very briefly. The first time you go to the prop room, she is absolutely just going absolute quaaludes and says, "Hey, I need you to solve this riddle before I let you look around my prop room."
3 riddles.
Yeah. So,
yeah, exactly.
No, wait, if I'm correct, isn't the difficulty you choose, doesn't that only affect her riddles?
It affects other things, doesn't it?
No, it affects the Towers of Hanoi puzzle that's also in the prop room.
Okay.
And the end game puzzle, and I think that's it.
Okay. Because I know there's like a variety of different like riddles she offers you based on difficulty, but that was kind of cool. I guess. It felt silly, but I mean.
You can go back and talk to her for other parts of the game. It's not necessarily essential, but you can ask her what she thinks of Rick Arlen, and then she goes on like a crazy spiel about Rory Danner and his evil twin Yuri.
Yuri, yeah.
Julian never knew about Yuri, and so when Maddie said, you know, I think that Rick's evil twin might be behind this, and he goes, "Are you kidding me? What?"
I was like, what?
That stood out to me in our playthrough. I actually had to play this game like 3 times because we lost the footage the first.
Somewhat related to Yuri, though, just to wrap up Suspects, Jamie and I both came to the conclusion that this game's story would be a lot cooler if the culprit was Rick.
Yeah, because, like, that totally made sense for me. I mean, Dwayne Powers, you know, you kind of needed him to function for some parts of the story, like how Nancy gets a press pass. Right. They make him, like, almost comically suspicious. What with, like...
Well, I mean, I've said it so many times, her interactive's flaw in the early games is that they always make, like, the culprit really kind and outgoing to Nancy. But Jamie and I's idea is that it would have made sense going off of how easygoing Rick is, and he's obviously wanting to be in the spotlight. He could be drumming this all up for the attention, and the end game could be he realizes Nancy's onto him and he has to put an end to her.
Well, I mean, then Rick would be kidnapping us 15 years in the future on Dread Isles.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
And how would that go?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that game.
Yeah, and maybe it would still be legal.
Yeah, it chooses his true acting abilities. Alright.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think we're finally ready to go into puzzles. We know that sometimes our suspects category can drag on disproportionately to other reviews. Entirely has to do with how many suspects there are in the game. Like, our Midnight in Salem suspects category was like 20 minutes, and our Ransom of the Seven Ships suspect category was like 3 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So moving on to puzzles now. What's your general impression of puzzles on this game, Hugh? I could take it or leave it, but definitely an upgrade from the first.
Oh yeah. Oh well, because So in Secrets Can Kill, the only puzzle that changes by difficulty is the most unnecessary puzzle, and that is the slider puzzle at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And then, right, and then so when I was talking to Robert, he said there's a bunch of little things, little hidden notes and whatnot around the first 2 games that were put in by their art director Laura Henyon, which don't again really offer much to the game.
I know.
So I think a lot of those really make up for the for Stay Tuned for Danger's puzzle total, I guess. So I think in regards to actual puzzles, like the Towers of Hanoi puzzle, that I thought that was a good choice of a puzzle because it fit color-wise and style-wise in the prop room. I thought that worked.
Right.
But the clock puzzle was a bit of an iffy one for me because that was it was too easy in my opinion.
I'm not sure like how you actually figure out you're supposed to set the clock to 11 because
the 11 is just slightly more faded out than all the other numbers.
That's it? Are you kidding me?
I'm serious. Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
I never noticed that. We just tried every number, and sure enough, we started at midnight, so we went all the way around before we got to 11.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, come on.
I think it's fair to say this under puzzles, it kind of holds the game back in my opinion, is there's a lot of instances of having to find like one specific screen, looking at one specific letter before you can have natural game progression. Like, I remember Jamie and I got caught for damn near 20 minutes before Maddie would talk to us about something.
You don't even report back to her in the end. You just end up like going home and watching the tape of Rick Garland, and then what do you know? There's like C4 in Rick's dressing room. So
exactly.
But it's a lot of there's no direction is what I'm trying to get at what you're supposed to do next.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because the very first DVD case that was released for this game, it boasts on the back over 100 close-up graphics or whatever.
Totally, just because of the prop room. Totally.
You know, and exactly. I think they just put that there, or maybe they put it in the game just to advertise something to try and sell the game.
100 plus hours of gameplay.
No. Where did that number come from? You know, I don't know where they got those.
I mean, maybe if you played it 90 times.
Yeah, they probably spent that much time working on it, so that's probably where it came from.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
All right. So I'm surprised now that you guys brought this up. So I'm about to just trash this game's puzzle category. The loudspeaker buzzer for Dwayne's apartment.
Ooh.
That was That was not only just terrible in concept, but just egregious in design. Because basically the way this puzzle works is the first time you go to visit Dwayne's place, he's in like a shady part of town, and you have to like ring the buzzer for his apartment complex that says Powers Talent. It first of all, the buzzer will just blow out your speakers if you have your game setting for sound effects anywhere above like halfway. So you're welcome that I tuned it down for the long play. Otherwise, Dwayne just says go away, and the solution to this puzzle is to just click it again, which we did not realize the first time. So we rang every single buzzer and like woke up our entire house. That was pretty counterintuitive.
And it's going off of what Hugh said, is that I think from her interactive's perspective, that counted as a puzzle to them. You know? Where in more modern Nancy Drew games, that's not a puzzle. That's just like a annoying instance.
But it just grinds my gears even more is when you go back for the nighttime visit to Powers Talent, and no one's gonna let you in. You have to hit every single one of these buttons to buzz people in until you finally find Mr. Hess Grumbly, who I don't even know if Nancy can hear at this point, and he just goes, "Finally, I've been waiting 45 minutes for that pizza." And then like the mother of all buzzers.
She didn't hear that either. She just heard the buzzer open and the door was like unlocked, and she's like, "Great, thanks."
Okay, yeah, trespassing time. Another thing that I'm going to count under puzzles, just to hold it against this game, because there's nothing else I can count it under. I don't understand why they thought it was such a brilliant idea to make it so the way you sneak into every room in the game is just by shoving the WWE card in through the slot. Because that's a card that we haven't seen played since like Waverly Academy. There's like a 21 gap in the series of where that card gets played. Literally.
That's true. Very true.
Because it makes me angry, because like literally every single door in the studio and every door in Dwayne's apartment, literally all of them can just be finagled open by sliding this card through it. And it makes me wonder, how many other games did we have where there was a door that Nancy insisted was locked, but you have like the Beach Hill Visitors Pass in your inventory, or just like the Captain's Cove Fun card. That just retroactively pisses me off. It just seemed like a real lazy excuse for how to sneak into a million different places.
The fact that I'm trying to think of more puzzles says something about the game's puzzles. I mean, there's the end game where it's guess and check.
I'm just going through the strategy guide, and the only other puzzles I'm finding again, they're not really puzzles, but there's to find the code to get into the sound room.
Oh,
I guess
that's a cool cipher. I like that kind of cipher.
Wait, I just thought of one. The torn up letter in Maddie's room.
See, that I still don't really qualify that one, because that to me, when it's done, it's just a letter to Rick, and to me it's just another Laura Hennion thing that
is that even a mandatory puzzle?
I don't think so.
Oh god, that hurts the soul to hear that.
I know.
God, like half this game isn't even mandatory probably if you speedrun it right.
Oh yeah.
Do we have any more closing remarks for puzzles? Any last second regrets or?
It's just that there's a lack of direction, and there's I don't know.
I thought it was fun.
Especially in the prop room, the first time you explore in there's like 5 mandatory things you need to pick up, and if you overlook one, well, guess what? The game's progress is completely halted, and it gets to be annoying like that.
Yeah, that was my biggest gripe with the game, is that if you don't look at literally every single frame, you're screwed.
Like picking up the exact doorknob.
Oh yeah. And
I know.
100% watching out for the packages. There's like 2 or 3 different packages that spawn on that one half-off screen chair on the
that
phone
was so bad.
in Maddie's place. Yeah. Okay, so we gotta talk about the bomb sequence, because to me, honestly, I don't even care that it's so guess and checky. I think it's so cool. I love the creepy voice that you hear.
I do too. It's like ingrained in my head.
Hello, Rick. Don't try to leave the room.
Yeah, it's
Don't run.
I'm gonna play the audio here. I'll find it somewhere.
Hello, Rick. Don't try to leave the room. The door's locked. Didn't you get my first warning? Somewhere in this room is an explosive device that will blow you burning in smithereens. Maybe tell everyone.
Hugh would know better than I. Is there any way? Is it more than guessing? Like, are you supposed to pay attention to which way these wires are going or something?
Is there anywhere that tells you what the order
As
is?
far as I can tell, it's just brute force.
It's
Okay.
When I played with Robert, even he didn't know.
Gotcha.
So
That honestly almost makes sense because it's such a detailed explosion animation for when you get it wrong that it's like, no, you're not going to get through this on your first try. We want to watch you explode over and over and
Exactly.
admire how much work we put into showing all the stuff on Rick's desk just go flying.
No, what I didn't like about it is after you inevitably die a minimum of 2 times, you respawn right outside the room and you have to take off all the nails again. And side note, when
I know.
Jamie and I did this, we didn't have the screwdriver in our inventory.
Yeah, and we were like, we were so relieved to find out that when it went the second chance, it spawned us outside of the room, so we could
Right.
actually have a chance to go back and get the screwdriver from the workbench and then defuse
yeah.
the bomb.
Yeah.
Of course, we
Yeah.
didn't defuse the bomb. We just went through and got the wrong combination over and over.
I almost feel like when the community thinks about Stay Tuned for Danger, the paint bomb puzzle, it's just like...
It's not a paint bomb. It's a real bomb. You're thinking.
I'm
you're
thinking of
thinking
Danger by Design.
yeah.
Danger by Design, yeah.
Silly me. I just feel like when the community thinks of this game, they think of the bomb puzzle. It's kind of iconic, I think, at least.
it is very
Yeah,
iconic. Oh yeah.
It's definitely like one of those. I could call it maybe my favorite explosion sequence in any Nancy Drew. You know, totally better than the chemical puzzle in Calcium Alloy, that's for sure.
Oh.
Rocket.
So, closing remarks for puzzles then, don't use headphones when you play this game. Just don't. Trust me.
Okay, well I think that concludes puzzles. It's not the game's shining part, but moving on to something that I actually really like, music. So I'm not quite sure they went with this general theme with the music, but a lot of it is like, it's jazz and then there's elevator music.
Blues, yeah.
Si- Simply put. And I can't say that it flopped. I thought a lot of it was catchy. I'm not sure if it necessarily matches the whole vibe of the game, but I don't hate it at the same time. I don't know.
Let's go ahead and just introduce it formally real quick, so...
Yeah,
This game-
We'll cover some specific tracks here.
In a second, yeah. So this game, thematically, was almost like made to be casual TV soap opera music. I mean, like, when you're in the WWB lobby, literally it's just elevator music. I'm sure we'll play that. And then, like, at other places, it's all just, like, smooth jazz and acoustic instruments and sort of things like that. Just those kind of implements. Nothing really stood out, I'd say, in this music, because it was all, like, exceptionally ordinary. You know, it kind of feels like, the best way I can describe it is think of the original title theme for the franchise, because it originated from this one. If that song had an entire album of other songs just like it, this soundtrack would be the album. So.
Oh yeah.
Hugh, what did you really enjoy specifically? Is there something that, like, I don't know.
What was the
Yeah.
location you got hyped for, knowing that you were going to hear, like, that jazzy saxophone?
Well, I think for me, it's the song that plays. I think it's called "Exit Day." When you pull up to WWB and this like doom doom do 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 do, like when that starts
yeah,
playing, I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, right on. You know? I'd love. I love that song. I think that one's great.
That could be
the
my
other
favorite,
track,
yeah.
you know, it's great. The one titled STFD, which is the one that plays during the opening letter.
So I think I can call my favorite track in the game the stage music from the actual studio where the cutscene happens that you saw at the beginning of this video. And it's just
Right.
a very, intense almost, but in like a, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's got a real strong strings to it.
It's almost
And
like
then-
rising tension.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and then a piano starts coming in. It gives a real suspicious vibe, and that's, you know, the best you can ask for in any Nancy Drew soundtrack. So here is
Oh,
the
yeah.
stage track.
Definitely good for snooping. All right, and the one that is arguably the most different from every other track in the game is Lobby. You hear it in the lobby, if that wasn't self-explanatory. But it's a lot like elevator music, and there's always that one song in a Nancy Drew game that you can just like, it's different, and you kind of feel just comfortable exploring, and this is definitely that song for me. I don't...
You know, it's put through one of those filters where it kind of intentionally sounds like the kind of music you'd hear if you were on hold with, like, Microsoft tech support. So,
That's a good point.
yeah, it's
catchy.
It's filtered is what it sounds like. It totally just sounds like boilerplate royalty-free music.
So, in conclusion for music, it's nothing outstanding, but it's very nice for the second entry in the Nancy Drew game series.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you set it side by side with Message in a Haunted Mansion and Secrets Can Kill, they all sound like very similar soundtracks. This was before I think they started to, you know, make tracks that would really reflect the atmosphere of the game.
True. Kevin Manthey was still, like, you know, finding stuff out.
Well, I mean, he was still grooving out with, like, the jazzy saxophone and stuff. You don't hear jazz music in those other games, but otherwise, a lot of it's just, especially when it comes to the snooping vibes of the whole franchise, it's just classic, suspicious piano and that sort of thing, and I appreciate that.
Next thing we're gonna cover is the atmosphere of the game.
Okay, there's actually a lot of cool things to say. There's at least one unique thing I can say about this atmosphere, but I'll save that for a little bit. What are your guys' impressions of this game?
The first impression, just this pops into my mind, is I hated the copy and pasted hallways of the lobby.
Yeah,
like
it gets confusing.
They're identical, and we haven't touched on backing up in this game is different from backing up in other Nancy Drew
so
games.
awful.
Dude, navigation.
So navigation in these identical mirrored hallways can get so bad at times. You just have to like click on a door to like know where you are. If you're like, oh okay, that's Lillian's door, I'm on this side of the room. And it gets to be like that because backing up, instead of turning you around like it does in like modern games, it just like it's taking a step backwards, you know? So that can get really confusing when you're in this like confined lobby area.
There's like no way to U-turn in this game. But the worst part is it gives you the U-turn symbol from the other games when you back up. Like Nancy can only pivot. It's weird.
Now that being said, I just think those hallways are the worst part of the game. I really have a great appreciation for Dwayne's place.
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk
It could
about.
actually be my favorite place in the game, other than the actual shooting studio. I thought that was nice too.
And why is it
yeah.
that Dwayne Powers' place is so remarkable? It's because it's depressing as hell. Dwayne's running his talent agency out of like a C-class apartment with like a million other people on his stupid buzzer complex. Just the outside of it.
It is so dirty and grimy, and it's just it's perfect.
It's like as run down as the ghost town from Secret of Shadow Ranch. I mean, especially just looking at it from the outside. When you get inside, I felt like I was in a public rec center that hasn't been redone since the late 80s. It was like, it's so grimy.
Well, there's like janitorial equipment just lying on the floor.
Yeah,
like a
wet
mop,
floor
you know?
signs knocked over.
Yep.
Even when you get into his office, it's not much better in there. Like,
But don't get it wrong, we're not bashing it. I think this is awesome.
exactly. They really,
yeah.
they really did a great job of making visual storytelling in this show you that this guy was having money problems.
Right.
And you know, as far as other storytelling to show, you know, there's like a million checks and like overdue bills in his office. So,
Well, it's interesting because I know when I was watching this game when I was younger, I was not mature enough or just didn't pick up on the cues that Dwayne was having financial struggles just going off of where he works out of. So now playing it with that lens on, that was really cool and like almost kind of mature in storytelling of her interactive. But that's beside the point. Hugh, what do you like most about Atmosphere?
like, do you have a favorite location?
Favorite
I
location?
think my favorite location, my top two locations, they're equally tied for me. I think is the soundstage and the prop room. I just to me, part of it too is because The only thing I remember when I first played the game was the scene where you have to drop the ladder down with the wheel, and Nancy would say it's stuck, and you got to like use the oil can on it. That I remember so vividly, and then climbing the ladder and looking down on the catwalk. So I think there's just a lot of nostalgia in there for me, which is why I like it so much. But overall, it is just a really cool location, and I've always loved exploring the prop room. I just love every little. I love that there's so many things to look at. Yeah, the fact that to me it makes sense that you can look in so many areas of it.
Right.
That's where the 100+ close-up graphics. That's where it makes sense. Not really in many other rooms, but yeah, I think those two are my favorite for sure.
Hey, one thing I want to touch on real quick is no one gonna bring up that like the stage for Light of Our Love is literally just Aunt Eloise's apartment. It has like the exact same set design and scheme. Like if you just showed me a screenshot of that stage without being able to see into the actual studio, I would think that was a Secrets Can Kill screenshot.
That's a good point.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's genius, yeah.
Because it almost makes me feel like, did they just like reuse assets for making that stage?
Something else that I thought was cool was Maddie's apartment. It's not my favorite part of the game, but when you switch to nighttime, there's a really nice crackling fire. And then something I also, I guess we'll throw it in atmosphere. The weird poem when you're switching to nighttime to daytime, I can't remember it exactly. Jamie, do you remember the...
Oh, it ends with take and fate rhyming. Like, please, I'm so glad that we didn't have to see that in Ghost Dogs and Moon Lake when you would switch from day to night. That would just bring it down a whole letter grade, so...
Turn night to day or day to night.
Yes.
The choice is yours for darkness or light. Choose the path you decide to take, for only you can decide your fate.
Yes.
I remember Arglefumph back in the day just ripping it for take and fate do not rhyme.
I'm so indifferent about that poem. It's like, I appreciate the effort, but it's so unnecessary. Yeah, instead of making that poem, use the resources to make Bill Pappas a character.
Oh.
I don't know.
All right.
I've never read that. I don't think I've ever read that until just now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is amazing.
If there's one last thing that I think has to be talked about for atmosphere before we move on, it's gotta be the atmospheric, the authentic. Where can I take you today, man?
Where can I take you today, miss? 1999 Broadway, please.
It's such terrible voice acting for all the cabbies, and you always start with that one. And then there's like the old Chinese man and just like the Long Island accent.
today, lady?
Yeah, true, lady. And then like the Long Island voice.
Oh my god. This is the most I've laughed at review. While I was playing it, I was like, Nancy, taxis aren't cheap.
She's getting her Uber.
Yeah.
Gosh, you will never get authentic. Where can I take you today, miss? From an Uber. Let me tell you,
Oh man.
That was really good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted. I mean, I guess we hit the first instance of a secret passageway in this game, right? Underneath the set going into the back of the prop room.
Which is so hard to miss. Or so easy to miss, sorry. It's...
Yeah.
You have to know to go behind the couch after setting...
yeah, because
or not setting the clock.
It says, like, trap door valve control or something on that puzzle that you solve. And, a player that's been looking at every screen is going to realize, well, there's obviously, like, a square cut into the floor here, and I'm assuming that, like... that's not just one of the 100+ screens I can look at. There's got to be at least 6 more screens behind this door.
Yeah.
It was underwhelming what it led to. It's literally just to Owen Spader's, like, ID number.
It's like, oh boy, more prop room.
Yeah. Well, I think actually in his shirt, there's a bit of, like, torn cloth, which you can see up on the catwalk as well. But I don't even know if that's, like... necessary or not, but
that's actually I never realized that.
I didn't make that.
Oh, really?
So his shirt is the same fabric as the piece you find.
Same fabric. Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
You guys saw the sawed in half Klieg clasp underneath the table, right? Yeah.
So
jumping into the ending of this game,
I'm gonna say it right now. Ending could be my favorite part of this game.
Well, not for me, but I really love the idea of having the conversation with Lillian and like. You know, like where you can like accuse somebody in a conversation. That is a great thing that I really wish they brought back. But where would you say the end game truly starts? Is it with the phone call from Lillian?
Yeah, and like the fake bomb.
Yeah.
In your,
Well, I think yeah. Once you arrive at the apartment and you get the phone call, for me that's always a point of relief because I'm like, yes, I've actually done something right in this game.
Right.
Because it's if you don't look at everything, that will not happen. And so I think that's why I love this game's ending because it's just such a relief that
It's
I get
satisfying.
excited. I'm like, yes, and then I can go and just, you know, it just I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's satisfying.
So what I love about this is Lillian has always just been sassy and doesn't like you the whole game, but she calls you and says like, I need you to meet me in the studio tonight, and I know you know how to get in and all sorts of crap like that. And when she meets with you, she says that she's gotten a note too, just like the ones that Rick's been getting. And she lets you see it, and you get all the time you want to read it, and it really just kind of intensifies things. And she asks, who do you think could be behind this? And then you have, like we said it before, the option to accuse literally everyone in the game besides Ralph, I think. You can accuse Bill Pappas, you can accuse Millie Strathorn, you can accuse Lillian to her face and say it was her. And
there's evidence for every single one that Nancy's come up with.
Well, I mean, you know, like kind of besides Millie, which is just like, oh, Millie is old and crazy, and she hates Rick's character.
Well, that's why I loved it. Is with your accusation, there's like a detailed paragraph afterwards, like this is why they did it, and that's so cool.
And of course, the right option is to say it was Dwayne Powers. By the way, I never knew that you could actually call Dwayne in this game. And I don't know where to find his phone number.
This was funny. In our playthrough, Jamie and I, just for the laughs, right before we did the final thing with encountering like Lillian, we had a full phone call with Dwayne, and he's so nice to us on the phone. He's like, please Nancy, be safe, I wouldn't want anything to happen to you. Less than a minute later, we're like confronting him.
He's like, this is the title of my play, One Death to Die. It's like, oh, I just called you, man.
Yeah, we were just on the phone with you.
Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, you can accuse it of being Dwayne. And honestly, I don't like doing that, because if you don't, he has such a creepy reveal, because you give the wrong person's name, and then Lillian will go, really? Because I always thought it was, and then the lights shut off, and you hear this creepy noise like a roller coaster down, and you just hear, Dwayne Powers.
Yeah.
Now, obviously they had the silhouette of him to like save on animation, but I don't mind it because it's way cooler.
Yeah, honestly, it hardly is saving animation, because it's a moving silhouette. Imagine if it was just a still image.
Well, yeah, true.
But still, you get like this really creepy sequence of him just like confessing to everything. He's going absolutely insane, and he's gonna kill you and Lillian. And Lillian's running off to hide or something, and Nancy has to like pull the fire alarm and open it up.
Something that I always thought about is when he's coming to like strangle Nancy, it's like, Lillian, where are you during all of this? Can you just help?
I know. Why can't you just throw like a screwdriver at his head and just see what
Lillian's
happens?
escaping through the trap door.
Can we escape through the trap door? Like, seriously.
Nah.
I don't know.
Anyhow, once you solve a sequence puzzle, it's just like the electrocuted gate from Final Scene or something like that, where you just have to, get the right sequence.
A real speedrun killer.
Oh, yeah, real speedrun killer.
This might be the first time it's ever happened, but I did everything the worst amount of, like...
Yeah, every time he clicked every single button and then the right one.
Yeah, like, it was... The odds of that happening were, like very slim.
That's what happens to me every single time. It's always the last one that I press that's the right one.
Right.
Every time.
Anyhow, once you get the security door open... once you pull the fire alarm, you just hear Ralph shouting, "Hey, what's going on?" And it's once you get the door open, Dwayne is just marching towards you in like the worst animation style ever. It's honest, I don't mind it. It's so funny.
For you, Miss Drew.
Time's up. It's curtains for you, Miss Drew. What's going on in here? Hey, you. This is the guy we've been looking for. Congratulations, Nancy. You've solved the case.
Way to go, Ralph.
Forget about it.
Dwayne's in the right hands now. Case closed.
And then Ralph just comes sliding through the door and he goes, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, you there. This is the guy we've been looking for."
And Lillian's like, "Way to go, Ralph."
It was so funny to me just because of like how he starts interrupting himself, just absolutely body slams Dwayne Powers into the ground.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Just the terrified look on Dwayne's face as he's getting handcuffed. Man, then we have, like, the shortest endgame letter ever. Serena and Rory get married, but, you know, Rick and Maddie are still apart. Lillian goes to work on the set of Titanic, because I believe that's where they took that picture from.
That is indeed, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, everyone gets their comeuppance. Dwayne Powers is arrested for blackface. It's just, it's a happy ending. It's a very, very short endgame letter, but, you know, I like the endgame besides the letter.
In conclusion, it's a much better game than the previous Secrets Can Kill, and it's like, it's a very nice step in the direction for Her Interactive in 1999.
I liked how games 1 through 5, I'd say, progressively got better and better.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, there's debates if 4 is better than 5 or if 5 is better than 4.
Oh, I'm a final scene junkie. I will defend it to the grave. But...
Regardless, first 5 games are just a real pleasant progression, and I think that this was a good stepping stone.
Hugh, do you have any closing remarks on Stay Tuned for Danger?
Before we go ahead and start the ranking part?
I personally think it's a great game. There's a lot of, or there's a few things that I have, you know, small gripes with, but I love playing it. It's fun.
All right, so moving into the ranking part of this review now. Let me just be clear. I know I say it every time, but you know, you never know when this is gonna be someone's first video. So the way that we do our reviews is that we don't like to rank them on numbers 1 through 10 when on the categories, because some Nancy Drews are better on paper than they are in practice, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So instead, we like to give a letter on a scale from A to F, and A is good,
I see.
F is terrible, and then, you know, the S is the tier at the top, reserved for the best of the best.
Supreme. Yeah. Oh yeah.
S tier is like a Blue Moon Canyon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So, with that in mind, where does this game sit for you guys? Who wants to go first?
I'm trying to think. We gave Secrets Can Kill Remastered a D, right? No, you gave it an F.
That was the only game that I gave an F, and I have a long list of grievances. So.
Considering this is like the upgrade, Her Interactive did a lot of things much better. Taking everything into account, it's got a really great story. I love all the characters. It's always a lot of fun when you get more than the standard 4 characters, right? And the story, it had kind of some plot holes, but I thought it was really cool. And I love the more mature storytelling of like Dwayne's like shambled little apartment and like all the death threats Rick was getting and everything. Then one big gripe is lack of direction and getting stumped way too easily. But hey, I gotta say, we played the game twice, and I had a lot of fun both 2 times. And it's a video game. I had fun playing it. It's a good video game. So I'm going to be giving this game, I'd give it like a high B. If B+ were an option, I would give it a B+.
All right. So Hugh, you want to go now?
I mean, I would give it a B+ too. I do enjoy, like, it is a comical game in so many ways, and you know, the writing, just the overall colors they chose, and the set design, everything was very comical. But it is a Nancy Drew game. It's a classic Nancy Drew game. It's the first one that I played. It's what got me hooked. So I got a lot of nostalgia for it. I like it. I think B+ is a very fair rating. I'm gonna give it that one as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, I wanted to give it a B too, and I expected you guys to give it like different grades. So now I can't be a contrarian. So. So yeah. I guess I gave it a B as well, and really a high B at that. Because you know, to me with these games, I never judge them on the graphics. That's why I went real easy on Midnight in Salem, because the worst part about the game was the graphics. But I never want to hold graphics against any game.
Well, you definitely can't hold it against this game. It's 21 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, this game can legally drink. This game is older than I am. So.
Oh yeah, me too.
This game is totally fun. It's definitely a landmark. You gotta play it if you're a big fan of the franchise. Her Interactive has a video up giving real vivid instructions as to how to install it. That's how I got to play it. Only sets you back like $10. You gotta buy it off their page. And unfortunately, it's Windows 10 only. But it's totally a fun, nostalgic play, and I would recommend it if you don't easily rage or have tinnitus.
Genius. That is the best review I've ever heard of the game. That's really good.
With that, guys, thank you so much for listening to our review of Stay Tuned for Danger. We really hope you enjoyed, and once again, a huge thank you to Hugh for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for tagging along for this. I'm sorry we didn't reach
thanks
out
for
to you
having
sooner.
You
when we had,
added
like,
so
No,
much
this-
to the review. This has been so awesome.
I love doing this.
Yeah,
Talking
yeah.
Nancy Drew is my favorite thing of all time.
Yep.
So
We have that
I'm
in
always
common.
here.
Maybe, maybe we'll have you tag along for another video someday if you're up to it. But
I would, yeah.
Oh, always.
totally be down for it. Anyhow, be sure to check out Hugh's channel. We'll have a link to it at the top of the video, as opposed to halfway through. Just as a heads up, Hugh has actually been like our gracious supplier of the soundtrack videos for most of our reviews that we play in the background, because he's made a nice compilation of all the soundtracks restored in HD for all of the games. So, you know, that's like your go-to. His channel, Nancy Drew Walkthrough Soundtracks. Mm-hmm. I don't even know when you made those, but I've been listening to them for years, man.
It's about 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, there you have it. So otherwise, thanks for sticking around, everybody, and be sure to vote for Holt.
Vote for Holt.
Vote for Holt.
He did the thing.